Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Jnanavatari. Today's topic, malware prevention, is I'm sure it is of interest to everyone, not just to cyber experts, cyber security experts, because if you remember, we had some interesting discussions in our group about this and this technologies used for this. And today we have an expert with us to talk about malware prevention. Welcome, Mr. Vaibhav Tare. Mr. Vaibhav is a keynote speaker and enterprising professional with rich experience of nearly 24 plus years in infrastructure, IT infrastructure, cyber security, cyber compliance, cyber law, and privacy, providing enterprise strategic leadership and direction in the management and operations. At Fulcrum, he is responsible for ensuring that the business strategy and operations are underpinned with the appropriate technology, hardware, software systems, processes, and standards. Currently, he is serving as the Chief Information Security Officer and Global Head of Cloud and Infrastructure Services. Over to you, Mr. White.
Thanks a lot, Manju. Can you hear me?
Yeah, your video, if you want.
Yes.
I'll just turn on the video. Give me 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. I may have to turn off the video in between because I am running on battery.
Okay.
So, yeah, thanks a lot, Manju. And as per today's topic for malware prevention, I know it's a very big topic. It's ocean, malware, cybersecurity, when we talk about. And most of the, we know how the, the impact of the malware, how it is, industry-wide impact. But for the end users, we are a little bit unaware of it, how to prevent it on organization level and also on the end user side, like endpoint devices. How do we do it? I will just keep this, discussion free flow. Whoever has the doubts, is there any questions in between wants to clarify? We can do that in between also. But I will cover a couple of things. The type of malwares, how it will get impacted, the growth of the malware since last COVID and pre-COVID and after COVID situation. Also, if you look at the larger impact on the industry, how it is happened. So as we know, malware is born. It's 25 years ago. It's a malicious code of software. It's a simple malicious software, a malicious small tool to get the access into the system and do something weird, right? We all know that, but nowadays, most of our day-to-day work, we are living in virtual world, everybody. As far as the our day-to-day work concerns, from meeting with the guys, working remotely, accessing multiple devices on the internet. Everybody is connected 24/7, and not only a human is connected, all our household devices and our company infrastructure is also connected 24/7 through the internet and with the humans. And it's a big area for the hackers, and they come all size and shapes. Group of hackers, they wants to steal the information, wants to destroy the infrastructure, wants to get something out of it. The motives of the cyber attacks are different from person to person or group of hackers to different. Very easy to gain the access of very easily gain the access of the system is through malware. Otherwise, we call it as a hack the systems. Now, there are a couple of things when we talk about the how the malware is getting impacted or getting inserted into the system. It's very simple thing. It's a malicious software which gets planted into your system, either your laptop, your notebook, or your desktop, or your phone. And the reason to it to fetch the information, either by running the software, using the keylogger. There are a couple of things are there, like adware, your ransomware. These are all types of malware, I would say. Your adware, which essentially gives you ads when you visit any sites, right? Any sites that runs the adware in the behind, and then download the code from your browser to your system. Another famous malware, which is a family of malware, is ransomware, right? Which is a very scary, and we heard that malware in many situation in our across the organization, across the discussion forum. We know malware has impacted many companies in the past, their infrastructure. We are a little bit unaware of that. We're not going into the detail, how much is the impact, how the impact got, created, and what is the ransom. Ransomware is typically same thing as the malicious code go and sits into your infrastructure, onto your servers, onto your whether it is a virtual infrastructure or on-premise infrastructure, get completely encrypted all the systems, and you don't have anything to do with it. You cannot do anything, because to decrypt that, you need to have some kind of ransom to pay. And there are a lot of recent incidents happens where a big companies, also Fortune 500, also got impacted with the ransomware. And there is no way that we can recover from ransomware. It's only there are a couple of now steps has been taken by the industry to minimize that impact, to change this overall cybersecurity strategy. How do we handle the backups? How do we creating the sooner RPO, RTOs, our backup and restorations, bringing some more awareness to the industry and the users. There are other types of malware, probably we heard about it, like, spywares, adware, we know that, spywares, then Trojan horse, then your bombs, which is called a similar kind of, similar like a spyware and adware. Spyware is actually sitting into the computer and spying on whatever the activity you're doing, and then based on that, the required information is fetched from your system or laptop or your desktop, and then pass it on to the hackers group. Based on that, they will figure out what information is required, whether it is a bank transactions, other data, critical data, system, which is getting extracted from your system. Similar kind of things for your adware also. Network also for your warm type of your malware, which is finding a vulnerability between your network and get from the your network, find the infected machines, sits into it, and then damage that or steal the information or delete the information. It's simply simple type of worm can do the harm for your system. Now, there are a couple of things while when we talk about overall malware and spywares, many people or many organization, not the organization I would say, but overall strategy is to because of the less awareness in the industry or the end users, to how to minimize the impact, or how to 100% or maybe most I would say not the 100%. We cannot safeguard all the infrastructure, but minimize the impact too. The thought process was in initial date was to if I have a antivirus into the system, I'm protected, or my infrastructure is protected, or the server is protected, right? Because that is not the case right now, because As long as you have a 2,000 machines, 3,000 machines, and your antivirus is only protected with the virus. There are different types of malwares coming into the picture which are undetected by the antivirus, and that's the reason anti-malware solution that you need, which is different kind of solutions, which on a which also comes with the bundle now with the your antivirus. But there are a couple of measures that industry is already taking to minimize that, like regular patching, vulnerability scanning for all your systems to make sure that all systems are get patched on time. Your bring the awareness with the users, all the end users. Simulation emails, which is one of the best awareness tool that many organization uses, like simulation emails, because in last couple of years, industry, the recent survey or industry trend, which we saw, the most of the hacking incidents or the ransomware incidents happen through the end user devices. So end user is the key to get into the organization. That has to be well aware that what they are opening, what they are clicking. Click before think before you click on any link. That's one of the important factor of the you anyway you to only click on the trusted links, like have the certificate HTTPS, or download only applications which are only trusted coming from the trusted source. We have a lot of ocean on the internet where we can find the PDFs, we can find the small softwares, any tools, small tools. We are not really aware where those softwares, sometimes a legitimate software also bundle with the malware, which is very hard to detect with the system, because once you download the zip and then unzip that files, then your malware gets started spreading into the system. So that's one of the important key aspect of how to prevent it and how to be more aware of that, what is downloading and what should avoid in the case of if we have any suspicious. Also, it's more or less awareness to what to download, what to not download, sharing access. One of the important feature of preventing the malware or preventing this kind of effect is to either we are using our own system or we are using our company system. Now, company is more or less protected and they have the centralized control over your system, right? You do not get the access or for admin rights, right? That's the one of the best control that I would say we in industry has implemented. Now, for home systems, we do not have that because everybody's using the admin user credentials to log into the home system, and that's one of the weakest link to get into the system, because any malware or any malicious software which need to install from the background without your awareness surely will require admin privileges. So it's always suggested as a good practice that every personal computer should have 2 accounts. One is that your normal admin credentials account. Another one is that the user credential account, which doesn't have the admin privileges to install the tools and softwares or change the permission, change the folder root or parameters, anything. That's just a simple user, which anyway you can use it to check your emails, do your day-to-day works on this. But you can minimize the impact through it to create the 2 users. And then only whenever you require to install software, you can log into the admin user account and then install the software. So that is one of the important aspects to minimize your impact of the malware installation. Also, when we see overall trend for your ransomware, your spyware, your virus, your worms, your other types of malwares, we have a frequency company-wide or industry-wide. Everybody, everybody's laptops or OneDrives or Google Drives are getting backed up automatically by the company, which is good. Which also has a your daily backup, weekly backup, monthly backup schedule. Your Delta backup also has a schedule. That is also getting scanned online, whether it is for the antivirus, anti-malware, and all these functions. For home users, we do not have that kind of thing. So it's been suggested that to always use 2 or 3 backups. One is your offline backup for all your personal files, and some of the backups with your online with the 2 copies. So best to create your own backup system, because if you look at nowadays, more or less every household has 1 or 2 laptops and desktops and other devices. You're creating online data, multiple times, and GBs. Sometimes some household has 3 terabytes of data to store. And everybody has a habit to store that data either on the cloud, on Google Drive, or the OneDrive. There is I don't think there are previously, some years ago, we used to have a pen drives or external hard drives where we store our internal personal data for all the movies and all these things. Now that is getting a history now, because we don't store any movies and all that things into our personal drive, because everything is now online available. That is a good thing, but all our personal data should also have 2 copies and continuously scan regularly to make sure that that is not impacted. Otherwise, many times it happens in the in industry also, where ransomware getting impacted, and that whatever the backup we have, we try to restore the backup, but that backup also has the ransomware already present. So as soon as we restore the backup, again ransomware got activated. So those are some of the cases are there, while looking at the backup, how to handle the backup carefully. And I think the other important aspect is to have a personal firewall for personal use. At least we are only using our own system-based firewall. There are a couple of hardware firewall also comes, which can also get installed into along with your home router, or maybe somebody has a stronger home routers. They also have a firewall capacity or capability. We just need to configure it. So there are a couple of ways you can avoid this mishappening in the future. Along with the your malware attack, also there is another side of it, which is a phishing, right? And that is also one very important aspect of phishing. There are a couple of types, like social engineering. Your weakest link, you get an email, you get fraud alerts from your bank, you get SMS. There are various types of phishing alerts nowadays coming into the picture from your phone also, and there are multiple instances happen when people use this kind of techniques, and they are very sophisticated into cracking your system and getting into know, because it doesn't crack 5 minutes to crack your identity or know your identity with your phone numbers and name. We know that everybody has the same system, same phone numbers with the banks and all that things. So it's also important to how to protect your personal information. That's also one part, not to impact with your malware, spyware. and avoid these kind of things. So keeping your personal information is also very important in this. And as long as we have the awareness in the industry and ourselves in our home, I think we can minimize the impact. It's very much. That's how the overall malware type of malware functions. You can ask me any questions if you have any doubts regarding the malware. I can talk for hours into it. There is also one type of this thing is there, right? Have you heard about anything about the sandboxing? Sandboxing for malwares? Anybody?
This is Amit here.
Yes, Amit.
Hi. So this sandboxing, this is basically where if anything is getting downloaded, it will create some kind of offline scanning. It will check if that particular download is safe before it gets into the PC or before the user access that. That's what I meant by sandboxing. Is it right?
Yes. Yeah, it's more or less correct. So sandboxing typically industry uses for your number one is your threat analysis. Your pre-filtering, as you say, anything we are downloading or anything we are installing from the internet, it's taking pre-checks whether it is has any kind of malicious code into it. Your detection level of your detection, what kind of if there are any code is there, what type of there, what is level of harms is gonna happen. And it comes with the complete sandboxing has the ability to comes with the your it's not it comes with the all type of report. Also there are tools for your sandboxing, malware sandboxing, which do the pre-detect for all the threat analysis. Complete threat analysis is done, and your roadmap also it comes with the pre-threat analysis. It is different from your virtual machine. It's not because most of the people thinks about sandboxing means we can create the one virtual machine and then install anything into it and see whether it is required or not. Sandboxing is a isolated environment where like a DMZ type of thing, where you completely isolate that environment and test all your things there. Whatever the downloads or anything you have a codes which needs to tested, which can do the vulnerability testing from that sandboxing, and then you can go and deploy that to a larger infrastructure. That is what the isolation is done, and the difference between the virtual machine testing and the isolation. So virtual machines, we can always do that to create one of the virtual machines and test it, but it's also runs on the hardware, which is also let's say for ESX we run the host computer, which is also there. So it's not 100% if you do it on the virtual machine with the sandboxing, but it's always recommended to have the isolated environment with the single software, single hardware.
There is a question on the chat box, Vaibhav. Mr. Pratyush has put a small question.
Yes.
You want me to read it out?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I'm just reading it.
So I just posted the article from Zscaler on sandboxing just for the reference.
Okay, good.
Okay, so you're saying many organizations are using both antivirus and anti-malware and the EDR solutions on the endpoints. Are these not burden on the system performance? Absolutely, these are the burdens on the system performance. then I'm 100% agree with that. And we also face the many problem with the system performance while deploying the EDR solutions. Let's say from the Sophos, we do it for the deploy the enterprise anti-malware solution or EDR solutions, and we face a lot of problems with the system performance. But here is the thing. I know it's a challenging situation to handle it. Well, when you are deploying this kind of tools to protect your organization, the intention is not bad to protect the organization from this kind of tools or malware and spywares. The larger interest is to protect the environment and minimize the impact after it will happen. Or if something goes wrong, without considering that, okay, system performance will go down, rather than taking the steps to identify how many systems are getting impacted and has a performance issue and fixing those, that will have a larger, some smaller impact than the if one system get impacted. And then we'll have to run for the fixing now here and there, and run for the wait for overnight and deploy the software, patch the systems, everything. But I agree with you. There are performance issues while you deploy this. The only solution I would see here is to upgrade the systems or the hardware, and that should be the first preference, because many organization has a tendency or the aware I would not say not the tendency, but it's a low awareness into the management and the board of directors that hardware upgradation always comes last because it's a capex, or the software upgradation. We still has a mindset to run legacy hardware and software unless and until it says, okay, I'm going to die tomorrow morning, right? Till the time we are still running the infrastructure. So it's always in the best interest to have a follow the life cycle for the hardware and software, for which is around 3 years to 4 years, and then upgrade it. And software also the same thing, because as long as you're running it, we also seen a couple of issues while we encrypt the disks, right? Recently, because our old systems, which are 3 years old, does not carry the complete encryption. Although it carries the encryption, it install, it runs fine, but the people who runs on it, work on it on multiple programs, developing the softwares, then it gets slow. It gets performance issues, and the only solution that we did we upgraded the your SATA hard drive to your SSD hard drive. So your hard drive performance also matters when you install all these kinds of XDR solutions. That's the other solution you can implement. Anything? Any other questions?
No, Vaibhav. This, when you are talking of sandboxing of some of these things, viruses which actually are programmed to be activated after a certain time, like a logic bomb. How do you handle that? Because you may store it in the backup, or after some time in the sandbox, nothing happens, no malware behavior is there. So then when it gets back into the active system, is it possible that the virus may get reactivated?
Yeah, it is. It is possible to reactivate that. And that is the one of the reason that we should have a backup at least going 90 days before to make sure that the one backup is always required a clean backup. It may get activated, and that's the reason I told you already that why we need a multiple copies of the backup, because if we have a backup, and it happens in multiple clients also, and with us also have a similar kind of experience where we when customer hits with the ransomware and we try to restore the entire infrastructure or restore the backup. Once we restore the backup, after a few hours, again ransomware got activated. So somehow the ransomware got set into the backup 30 days ago, and then it got activated yesterday. Then everything is got encrypted. We try to restore the backup from last 30 days or whatever the best available backup from last week, and again a few hours again it got impacted. So that happens, and that's one of the reasons that at least we should have a backup of multiple copies. I would say 2-3 copies, which is one is the 30 days copy, one is a 60-day, another one is 90 days copy. Although company has most of the industry companies has the capacity to maintain that multiple level of copies, but because if your backup is around terabytes, you can still create the system to have the multiple copies in personal level, end user level, which is also possible because we have a backup of in GBs, not in terabytes. We can also create that one, but that is the one precaution that we can take, always 1 or 2 or 3 copies of the backups. Otherwise, if it is required in the future to restore the backups, you will get the, again, we'll get the, malware or, encryption into it with the ransomware.
What is the success rate of decryption of ransomware according to your experience, Vaibhav?
It's not even 1%.
I see. So once ransomware hits, unless the backup is there, it is no possibility of recovery?
No, you cannot recover. There is no solution to recover from the ransomware unless you have the ransomware impact on your smaller piece of infrastructure. Let's say you have one department got impacted with the ransomware, and which is not spread across your network because of your segregated network in one area. Then you can isolate that network, and then remaining you can still function as a day-to-day. But yeah, I mean, you do not have anything to decrypt that, because the way they encrypt system, you need a key to decrypt that. Unless you have that key, you cannot do that. So only way to overcome this is to either you pay the ransom and get the key and then decrypt that data, everything. Otherwise, you use your recent backup and then start building your infrastructure again and restore that. So that's the way, and many company does that. Impacted software, impacted infrastructure. We have a recent case studies 2 years ago during the COVID. One of our client got impacted completely, which is a big client, around 40,000 users, which got impacted. We did the restoration, everything, in emergency, which takes around 96 hours, more than 96 hours to restore that. But that impact for 96 hours is much larger than looking at the 40,000 users, your on-premise infrastructure, your cloud infrastructure. The surprising thing is that the cloud, which is setting into Azure, that also got impacted with the ransomware. So although you will get the help from the Microsoft or the AWS, but they are not actually providing the solution, because they are providing you the bare metal infrastructure. They are only responsible to give you a bare metal infrastructure. And then on top of that, you are responsible to maintain that your instances, your databases, your applications of it. But the only solution is to have the multiple copies of backup to restore it.
There is one kind of theory which says that if you have a few files which are encrypted by the ransomware and you have the unencrypted file, we can use that to find out the decryption key or something like that. That is, if you have some unencrypted files in the backup and the same files in the encrypted state from the ransomware, some sample files, using that, can we re-engineer the decryption key?
No, I don't think so. That is a solution because you have the original files, right? And you're impacted.
Original files of a few files, let us say 10% or sample files, which are good in the backup. And now in the ransom state, it also has a version of the encrypted state. Using that, some people claim that we can work out and find the decryption key.
Sir, I don't think that will work because
Technically, that is not possible at all.
technically it is not possible.
It's just not possible technically at all.
Okay, okay.
Even organizations who has paid ransom they were also not able to recover. There were instances where they paid. In fact, FBI and all, they are saying that you should not be paying ransom because there is no guarantee that data will get recovered.
So if you're a corporate head, how will you handle this situation?
Sir, before that, I think your idea is feasible. Nobody has experimented. For example, 10% of the data I segregated, kept it separately, my original data, and my ransomware has taken off. This 10% of the items are available there in ransomware in different format. If I can compare them and come out with the formula, what he has used, using again digital technology, it is possible. I don't think nobody has ventured that long. It must be possible. How he will, when I pay the ransomware, how will get back the original?
Technically, it is not possible. If you try, you have to create a key by the brute force method, and that will take years to try that key, and that is not possible because the length of the key is 2048 or 1024 bits. So it is not technically possible to do it in that time. It may take hundreds of years to create that key and find out.
Okay, one more.
You can create your own program to decrypt that, but it will take time to decrypt and break that one.
You have to have that key. That key is not possible to create unless you have brute force, and that brute force to create a key of 1024 or 2K will take hundreds of years.
Exactly.
No, sir, I don't think we can try for it.
Then please try, take a patent, you will get billions of dollars. Please try. Yes.
I do not know ABCD of computer. That's common sense logic. I just tried to.
If you don't know, then take our words as gospel.
Then one more silly question is there. I'm very good in asking silly questions. One more is.
We'll give you three answers.
One more question is there.
Okay, Kodanam. We'll leave that.
Only one more question.
Please ask.
What is that is, as the ransomware, some fellow has spoiled my computer. I can contact him, isn't it?
Yes.
Can I not hit him back with my ransomware?
Create a ransomware.
I will also
hit him. Why not?
Take away all his data. Can we not hit him back?
Yes.
Why should we take the blow? Somebody lights the stone.
But how you will know?
Destroy them.
How you will
find out his
know
computer?
where he is sitting? Whether he is sitting in India, is out of India,
Wherever may be.
remote island.
When he has become outlawed, I will become doubly outlawed.
No, that is true. You can do that. But how do you want to find that?
Clicking back. Not simply clicking and taking the throw on me.
Please try. The word is searching for you, sir. Please try. Please try. You will become a billionaire.
I am born very early, long back. Otherwise, I would have tried this.
No, okay.
What I am telling. Why can't we hit them back? Why should we cover, sit back and say, this is the relief, that is the relief. Bloody forget it. Who are those guys, agencies? Strike them off once travel. Let them get 100 times destruction than us. Why can't we do that? We are talking about high technology. High technology cannot prepare this?
Sir, please try. You will become billionaire without paying any excise duty and GST.
See, there are limitations while you do it. How do they find you? It's a different ball game rather than how do we find them. because it's not only from the one location your attacks will get generated. There are groups in dark web where from the multiple locations you will get and these are the virtual groups. It is very hard to find it. They have all the tools and techniques to hide their identity. So not not an end user, we are very unaware and the less aware with our infrastructure, but all these government agencies who have all kind of access with the top level, they also had to find the identity of this and the location of their, these are group of hackers. Although you can get now I can tell you, if you have IP address from your system, I can tell you where you are sitting right now and from where you are accessing. That is pretty easy. I can go and search your IP address and find the location. I may not find out the exact location. I have to go to the ISP and find out your exact location. And then I have to find out which Wi-Fi you are using, whether it is open Wi-Fi, whether it is a closed Wi-Fi, what are the ports are open, how do I get into your system? That's the another thing. And that is the biggest challenge that everybody has in the industry, to find out the identity of this one. And it's not only a one group, right? And they use the multiple techniques, multiple parameters to get into your system. And it's not only a one-day attack. They do find all these research to go into any company's infrastructure, sit there for couple of days, find out what is there, what is not there, how many ports are open. And it's not because most of the look at the top level companies like the banks, they have a very solid infrastructure. Let's say for Bank of America or Deutsche Bank or any other infrastructure, or the ABI infrastructure, NSA infrastructure. They all have this kind of access, multiple tools getting created. Some of the Israeli companies are very well in researching and fighting with this kind of hackers, but for the individual users it's very difficult. And it's still see, we are only 25 years old in this internet journey, right? We still have a long way to go, because if you look at the footprint currently, out of 9 billion, hardly few people are there on the internet right now, although it is growing very significantly. And the risk also is growing. But as long as we grow, the attacks on the infrastructure and the way the attacks also grow significantly. So I would say it's difficult, but we will still have hope to one day to stop this one. But the timeline is undefined right now.
Ramesh, you have got any questions for Vaibhav?
No, sir. I'm fine.
Only I am the silly fellow who asked some questions. Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's a valid question.
So Vaibhav, any thoughts on ransomware as a service that's there, right? Which I heard that it's it's very easy to have someone to use for ransomware attack. Any thoughts on that?
Ransomware as a service, you want to say to protect the ransom from the ransomware, or the
to make ransomware attacks.
Oh yeah, it is there. It is there. It is there in the deep web. If you go into the deep web and our dark web to connect with this one, you will have a same kind of. That's the when we're talking about the ransom previously, you do get these people do provide the service and do get the share out of it. Like depending on the level of ransomware attack you would like to do, like. If you go to the dark web, you will find your name with your credit card getting sold for $5, which it is listed for $50,000 limit on the credit card, and you have name and your credit card number, which sold for the $5. You will also find in dark web that for your name, your SSN, social security number, which is getting sold for $5. So whether you pay the money and then use it, similar kind of things, you find the target, pay the money and do the ransomware attack. The only caveat here is if they are successful to getting into the system, then you will have to pay for it, or they will get the ransom commission out of it. But there are groups who used to do the services. And you can find it in the dark web if you go and use
But
the
how because I didn't anytime go to dark web. So how is that? This is a website or what it is? How to get into the dark web? Have you ever gone to?
Amit, unless you have a sandbox system, don't ever try. Okay.
So yeah, it's difficult. It's not the right way to explain here in the public forum. But most of the people uses the Tor browser.
Tor, right?
Yeah, Tor browser to get do this kind of activity. There are certain sites which are only running, which can only run on that browser only. If you try to use those another browser, it will not run. Only particular sites only run on this browser. And not only dark web, go to the deep web also, you will find the people who can offer you. But that's a different level of things to do. And because it's very difficult nowadays to do any kind of such a things. I would say silly things to, if we are not really sure about what we are doing and because I think in cyber protection in I'm not sure about the India, but for other countries like US, UK, if you are using a Tor browser also in your laptop or PCs, you will get flagged by the agencies.
Vaibhav,
and then they monitor you.
Vaibhav, this ransomware as a service, okay, that means it's set of or group of people, correct, working together. Now, even that set of people or group of people with the kind of technology, whatever, it won't be possible to track them. I understand what you had shared, that you do not know ransomware attack, that which part of globe is sitting, etc. We won't be able to reach them out, etc. But here we are talking about as a service, right? That means I understand that a group of people or set of like-minded, right, getting together. Wouldn't it be possible to really track and then check?
How do you track them? There is no identity to disclose to track those, right? How do you track those?
How do they coming together then? How do they coming together?
See, it is possible, right? Because we also hear the news that Microsoft has brought down some bot network, or even FBI has. So it is possible, provided that intelligence and the way to bring down this kind of bot network, because it's a malicious network. When we say ransomware as a service, it is a group of people, group of computer running this kind of service. So we get to know that this particular network generating malicious traffic, hacking has been brought down. But it's not like we can do it. It requires the network and intelligence like Microsoft or FBI who has to do that.
Yeah, you can
and
do
authority
it
as well.
Yeah, so Microsoft has done it to find out the gap into their network. That's how the identity got revealed by, for that group, and then they attack that. In many cases, to whom you are dealing, how you are dealing, where the person is sitting, it's completely, hidden from your or group of the people. They're completely hidden. It's very hard to find this group of people, hackers and everything. It's similar kind of, for example, simple example in layman term, if I tell you, everybody knows the cryptocurrency, right? But the idea is to from the crypto is to, if you are selling, you don't know who is buying your cryptos, right? If you are purchasing, you don't know from where you are purchasing, from which guy you are purchasing. It's completely hidden between the buyers and the seller. You only mediator is your exchange, which gives you the rights to buy and sell. And you also don't know where this crypto is getting built, because the series of network of your cryptocurrency is anywhere in the world that can create the crypto. In which data center is gets created, you don't know, and who mine those cryptos, that is also, the algorithm is such a like that only, that you can't find that who mine the crypto and then who sell it and who buy it. It's completely unaware. Similar kind of things also you can find in the dark web, where the identity, you can't find the identity of the person who is buying or who is selling. Although who is buying, you are going into it, they know who is buying into it, but who is selling into it. And that's one of the biggest security threat that we have right now, which is getting with the crypto, because all these activity getting done by the crypto only, for most of the activities by your crypto. And they're also asking for crypto. If you have anything to work to do, they're asking to get the crypto for 500 crypto, 200 crypto, or Bitcoin, something like that.
But you said that if I'm right, you said somewhere that middle guy, from the middle guy is the one I'm buying, or the seller is selling it to him. Am I right?
That's the
Am I getting it?
exchange. Yeah, crypto
Very
exchange.
good. Does that mean that middle guy knows both the sides?
No,
Okay.
he knows only one side only.
Okay. Even he does not. Interesting.
He does not
I
know.
understand.
He does not know. Yeah. And that's the
Ramesh,
beauty of the crypto.
Great.
sir, Ramesh, this is again Ramesh. You need to prove that you are underworld material. That's only you'll get access, Ramesh.
So see, I understand. I looking at least Vaibhav is going to say, Ramesh, there is a solution anyway. I understand. Ramesh, we are all ordinary people.
That's the reason you heard the news, right? We
Right.
got today somebody sold $2 million crypto. That's it. You only get the transaction number that somebody sold the crypto for $2 million or $10 million. You heard the news, right? In multiple times, right?
Right.
But we don't know who is the buyer and who is the seller. We only know that, okay, this transaction is getting place by $2 million or $3 million or $10 million. But who is the owner of this one? Who has done the transaction? We don't know. Only the exchange, which is getting the transaction is getting conducted. They knows that the transaction happens on my exchange for certain amount.
Yeah. I'm sure that the coming days, the IAM, right, Identity Access Management, will get strengthened or have to go further, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It has to,
Because otherwise there is no end to it, right? Today, what Mr. Godanram sir asked, trust me, it was a very valid question. If A can play around, why not me? Why not me be smarter than A, right? I think the IAM is the solution, Vaibhav, if I'm right, going forward. Especially we are talking about now, I don't know, AI algorithm coming in a very, very big way in every domain. Obviously, it has to catch. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we are in a very primitive
Right.
IAM stage right now. What I would say, it's very primitive technology that we are using for IAM,
Yes.
like MFA
Correct.
and the SMS or password management. It's
Right.
very primitive way to handle the identity and access management. There is a much larger scope for the identity and access management rather than only depending on the 2-3 technologies,
Absolutely.
right? And that is also getting impacted right now, right? MFA also is getting hacked right now.
Right.
If you
Right.
look at the
Right.
couple of last month, couple of cases where MFA is also bypassed, right? So
Vaibhav, as a part of security policy, are organizations prescribing that none of their employees may use Tor browser? None of their employees enter into crypto transactions. These two things, are they part of corporate policies today?
it is not, but it is by default getting blocked from the your firewall
From the network security system?
network itself. Yeah.
But as a
Sir.
matter of cultural development of the policies, unless we block the beneficiaries encashing the frauds or ransomware through the use of cryptocurrencies, it will continue to be used by people. So unless you break the currency with which people are making a benefit out of ransomware, there is no way we can break it. And Tor browser, wherever Tor browser exists in any computer, as a law enforcement person, I will have to red flag that particular user. You may not like it, technology people will not like it.
That is what they are doing it, right? For all the, I think most of the other countries, I'm not sure about India, but and out of India, the USA and specifically UK are doing it very particularly. And also there is a always watch on the your open Wi-Fi's, like your hotel Wi-Fi's, your cafe Wi-Fi's. All these things are getting continuous monitoring for the unlawful activities.
Yeah, that's how some stray cases get identified. Only thing is the effort required may not be commensurate with the benefit. That's why most of the time it will not be able to prevent that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
One last silly confusion for me. When I enter some ice gate and all that, they'll say, well, you read this and type and go on typing. Most of the time, I'll be not able to read the words for letters, capital letters.
Captcha.
Like that. What is the use of that? Why they are asking us to do that?
Instead
Is
of
it a security issue?
No, it's not security issue. It's just for your satisfaction, I would say. That I mean.
No, because when we go for this ice gate and all that, I have to struggle 3-4 times. My eyesight is also not good. And when I type, it says it is not tallying with it. Take again another number like that. I keep on wasting time. Is there benefit to them?
Wow,
it's
wow,
not.
wow. Vaibhav, I was waiting for this, Kodandaram sir, what you said. I was wasting for my time. Okay. This question came up long back, and that was the answer given by nicely that if it is not your activity, obviously you will not waste time in going through that, putting that, because sometimes again you need to redo it. That is one kind of check they are trying to give you as a benefit. That's all. Beyond that, I don't see any technical input per se over there.
It's because
machine login.
the CAPTCHA is initially built to prevent the automatic login.
Correct.
Right.
Let's say if I write a
One more
script
check.
and say, if I write a script and say my username is Vaibhav Tare and password is something, right? I can write a script and run the script into the background, which can automatically log into either the Gmail or this thing. So CAPTCHA is to prevent the
Dynamic.
automatic login and from the bots. That's one of the reasons that I did. But it's a primitive technology. It's outdated technologies.
Actually.
Nobody cares about it. Some of the websites still using the CAPTCHA. Now Google has completely removed the CAPTCHA, and they are providing the inbuilt service of the CAPTCHA, where you build the service, you build the site, and then you on the background you install the CAPTCHA plugin, where it's automatically detect whether it is a human login or whether it is automated login. That's allow you to directly log into the site without typing the CAPTCHA out of it. But it's an old technology. It will get rid of, slowly. When new
Only thing automatic login. That's all.
No,
Nothing
why
else.
That's
I
all.
thought is there may be some information using that old technology which is worn out to find out location, things like that. Is it possible?
Mhm.
That's where I am thinking. No doubt it's a
So
very
location-
good one. Now can we use it to get some more inputs or something like that, so that it could be becoming a secured one for individuals?
So
Okay,
they don't need the, to get your information. They don't need any CAPTCHA to, ask you to type it. I can just put the simple cookies into your site, and then I can capture whatever the information I need. I can capture any information which you are running from your browser or which you are doing in the software. For example, I can capture your voice also through that cookies. For example, you run the Facebook, right? You close the Facebook without logging out and without cleaning this thing. Facebook has a cookies which can run in the background, collect all your information and activity, what you are doing into your browser whole day setting, what you are browsing, and based on that, you can retarget it for the advertisement. Which is also, if you have the phone and your Facebook is installed on phone, you can listen the conversation, pick up the words, and based on that, when next time you open the Facebook, you will get the targeted advertisement onto your Facebook. So all these funda is Facebook is very experimental and to the getting all the users. Users only into it, so it doesn't require you to type the CAPTCHA for it.
Great. Yeah, Navi sir.
Yeah. Manju?
Manju.
Navisa, would you like to add something?
Manju is online?
Yeah, she's there. Manju.
Sir, I was asking if you'd like to add something, Navisa.
No, I didn't get you.
Navi sir, would you like to add anything before winding up? She's asking.
No, it's okay. It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Vaibhav has given some general this thing, of course. Only thing is I wanted to check with him that this new Data Protection Act requires a certification of hardware and software with an assurance of no malware kind of an assurance. Maybe that is something which Vaibhav can think about it, how it will create new opportunities for testing software purely for the purpose of data protection. Okay, that is only an additional point I just wanted to make, because we look at malware mostly in situation of cyber crime and this ransomware and other things, but in data protection for our regular day-to-day operations, we are likely to ask all software vendors to give an assurance about their software being clean of this software. The other point which I perhaps wanted to discuss was about the sandbox system itself. The concept of sandbox in malware prevention is to actually hold the file temporarily and run whatever malware engine is required to examine the particular file, and afterwards release it if it is clean. Now, in the data protection environment, also we are using the same term sandbox, which is a much larger process environment where the entire process happens within a controlled system, not one single, say, virus, antivirus kind of a application, but the entire the personal data processing has to be done within a closed environment. Maybe from technology perspective, we need to see how such a sandbox system can be designed and structured within a company. These are the couple of things, but maybe this today is not the time for discussing these things. So at some point of time in future, we can discuss it. So,
yeah, absolutely. I would just add the one last thing.
Yeah.
Although we have a multiple solutions for protecting the data, protecting from the malware, getting things done in a nicer way, but the one thing industry, I guess, overall look at the industry is missing is to have a integrated standard operating procedures for because everybody's doing the way they wants to do it. It's not a standard set of process or protocols that I have to follow for the data protection. And considering your malware, considering your ransomware, everybody's doing the way they would like to do, or they find it useful to do it. It's not a fixed approach, one approach to provide the industry way, but everybody's taking their own guesses and assumptions to secure the environment, because there are multiple softwares, multiple tools, multiple processes are there. But to talk about the threat protection, it's only on a one way that some people do another way. Threat analysis, I can do it in my way, you can do it in your way, you find it useful threat analysis. There are missing a complete guideline of how to protect the enterprise and network.
One more thing was that say in ransomware control, so in malware we have the signature based detection and also behavior based risk. The moment the malware, the ransomware starts encrypting a couple of files or a few files, then the system should detect that this is an unusual activity of my system and then perhaps put a stop to that. This is one kind of malware, ransomware prevention technique, which I think people are trying. Am I correct, Vaibhav? That is,
yes.
Stop the ransomware after it starts its work, so that if I have got, say, a lack of files, at least I can stop it at 5,000 files or something like that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there are a couple of companies also doing the same research, like, for example, Sophos. Sophos has a multiple options and multiple level of protection, like Sophos EDR and XDR is also there. It's very nice feature when any incident happen with the system and it detects, and they have settings that you can automate within a fraction of second, your system get isolated from the network. So it will stop infecting to other piece of your network.
And also some of this new ransomware is also exfiltrating the data. Okay. Now exfiltration of data is something which the system gateway should actually find out that why so much of data is going out of my system. Because that is even creates a higher damage to the company, because it is exfiltered and tomorrow it goes into the dark web and other things. So it is not a question of just replacing the data with my backup. Even if I replace it with my backup, some of my confidential data is out. So exfiltration capable ransomware is more dangerous for the company than a ransomware of the earlier generation, which only encrypted and kept it in your own system. So there also, once the exfiltration starts, there should be a methodology of identifying the outgoing traffic peaking beyond the normal thing, and the system should, as you said, stop the activity for some time immediately and escalate it to the security person so that you can examine it and then take corrective action. So I think that is the only thing we can do in terms of ransomware. When it starts its activity, try to block it as soon as possible.
That's what many companies do, and that's what we also do it as a standard practice. Some of the time we do it in manually. Some has the automated tools where they flag that I am downloading every day. I'm probably downloading or uploading data for 1 GB. And one fine day, I started downloading a 10 GB of data, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
we get that kind of notification also. We have the system in place where we watch the activity and behavior of the system.
It is like the adaptive authentication you use in terms of authentication itself. Okay. So something unusual has to be identified, and an extra level of security perhaps could be thought of. That is one way by which we can mitigate the risk to some extent.
Yeah, but it's a only way. It's everybody's doing. That's the reason I told you that everybody's doing their own way. It's not a standard protocol industry wise to follow. Like you have to drive the car on the left side of the road and the right side of the road, something like that. These are the standard protocol. Here, we do not have any kind of.
Kaspersky and others are saying that they have a module of their antivirus software which protects against ransomware. What is that they are offering there? They are collecting perhaps higher money, but what exactly are they doing?
That's what it is. Only a XDR solution, similar kind of solution, that XDR solution which detects the
unusual activity.
Unusual activity and system, and then isolate that. I don't know whether Kaspersky doing the isolation of the system, but I think it should do. But all other system tools surely doing the isolation when they detect any abnormal activity.
Okay, good. Yes, Manju.
Okay, the session was a stark reminder that it is a scary world out there, but it is also comforting to know that there is technologies emerging every day to tackle this day to day. Thank you, Mr. Vaibhav, for a very informative, insightful and interactive session. I know you had a busy schedule, and thank you for finding this one for us. Thank you everyone for participating in the discussion. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vaibhav.
Thanks, Vaibhav.
Thanks a lot.
Great session.
Thanks.
Great, man. Thank you.